Hello and welcome. I'm so glad you are here and sharing space with us today. I was hoping you could start by sharing with our Buteyko community a little bit about your story and how you came to the Breathing Center and the Buteyko method.
Thank you for having me. Yes. So I was a professional tennis player and then played for college in the United States. I'm originally from Ukraine. So played for 4 years. And then after that, did some running at Boise State while I was doing my graduate degree. So I had a lot of sport background and ran a Boston Marathon. And then got into triathlons. So had a very active 20s. And then as a profession, I was a personal trainer and fitness instructor. So I was teaching a lot of classes during the day, probably 5 to 6 a day when I had to exercise with them. Clients where I was training them. And then got into Pilates. So I was introduced into Pilates and I was very intrigued by it and did a lot of trainings with that and decided to really specialize in that. So fast forward, got married and had my first kid. And my birth was like pretty dramatic, like not an easy one. Bodhi was 6 months old and I started having some health issues. So dizziness, nausea all the time during the day when I wake up. And then what really got me is the heart palpitations at night. So I would wake up in the middle of the night and my heart rate would just go through the roof. It was very scary, wasn't sure what was going on. Couldn't breathe, was like just trying to calm myself down and knowing some breathing techniques, was trying to use those, but it was declining. So my health was declining, was really starting to affect me during the day, couldn't really work. So from working, 8-9 hours a day, went down to 3 and then had no energy. So that brought me to physical therapist. And that's how my journey started. So she was working on my anxiety attacks. That's what my Western doctor kind of diagnosed me with, because I was wearing a heart monitor and then they did an echo on my heart and everything looked great and healthy and my blood work was good. So they decided, I'm under too much stress. I'm having anxiety attacks, was prescribed anxiety medicine and antidepressants and beta blockers to slow my heart rate down. But I decided that this is not the route I want to go. I'm pretty healthy. I live a healthy lifestyle. I exercise. I always watch what I eat. So I wanted a more natural approach, but I just didn't know where to go. So it took me to physical therapist, was working with her and she helped me. And then she mentioned a Buteyko method and gave me a video of like a very old recording about Buteyko. And then there was like a little techniques and I started working on that and it helped me pretty much right away to a certain extent, but I still experience a lot of symptoms and couldn't sleep at night, but was a little bit more functional and manageable during the day. So then I just went ahead and started researching about Buteyko method. My first language is Russian, so it was easier for me. I found him on the Russian website right away. And then it took me to a breathing center. And I reached out right away. I emailed to Breathing Center right away, got a response pretty quickly, and then had a little conversation, like a free little talk, see if I'm a good candidate. And Sasha right away, I was like, wow, the first time I looked at you, you looked so healthy to me. And I was like, why is she asking me to work with her. And then the minute I started talking, she's like, wow, she's such an overbreather. She can't even like talk without her mouth closed. So, like in between, it's everything mouth and mouth and mouth, and she is overbreather. So anyways, and then we start having conversation, definitely clicked right away. I really enjoyed what she had to say, and in a very calm way and very understanding way. And I right away signed up for the level 1 training. Like that was like no question asked. And 2 weeks later, I started working with her. And the rest is the history. So that's how I found about you guys.
So it seems like you personally have advanced your health. What about from the athletic standpoint? How has the Buteyko method changed your performance as an athlete and or as an instructor?
So great question. I had to stop exercising when I was experiencing all the symptoms because it was just very difficult. Nausea, and I couldn't breathe. I couldn't like swallow in difficulties. It was all kinds of things. So I started practicing with Sasha, and it was a journey. So it's not like over the night I became better. Yeah. But so right now I'm back to my running and I'm playing tennis again. And there were things that we had to really tweak because what I love about Buteyko method is you have a test. You can check your breath control and you know where you at. And that's kind of what we decided to do. Because with me, Sasha always had to back off. It's like, okay, you want to do this? We need to do a little less than what you want. And that's how you're actually going to get results and improve. It's all about breathing peacefully. And it was such a difficult, challenging concept as an athlete because, in my mind, more, better. And here I'm looking at it in a completely different way. Less is better, you'll be healthier, and actually it will help your performance. So now I'm at the point, I still have a lot of work to do, but I'm at the point where I am breathing through my nose while I'm exercising pretty much all the time. And that helps me to improve my health. And I know if I play a tournament, I can relax. So that relaxation aspect is like just tremendous, where I can really find like an effortless feeling because I'm breathing properly. My shoulders are not here. And I am not having like anxiety things, nervousness kind of thing, just because the way I breathe. So that helped tremendously. And then when I know that I'm good with my health, because I have that test, I have that number, I know I can push myself a little bit better, and I'm not going to worry about it, that then the next 2 days I'm going to feel terrible. So that, as far as my performance wise, it really helps me to relax, be like more peaceful and more effortless, which also helps me with injuries. So I haven't had any problems with my knee doesn't hurt, my neck doesn't hurt. It's just because I'm more relaxed. My muscles are not tense and my muscles working properly. And then the other big one, because I'm still an athlete, I still want to push myself as much as I want to be effortless and peaceful. But if my numbers are good, or let's say I have a match on Sunday and I'm looking at my numbers and they're a little below what I want, then I extra working on my exercises, my breathing exercise that I have from Sasha. And I have a library of things that I can pick and choose from.
So you're teaching Pilates, correct?
Correct.
How has your perspective changed with that? I know learning the method itself changes your perspective on yourself, but how is your view now on the clients that you work with? with now having this knowledge of proper breathing?
It's a very interesting question because I'm like kind of changing things up right now at my studio. There are 5 principles in Pilates, and the first and most important is breathing. But that's the thing, we were kind of taught how to breathe, but not really. Like breathe diaphragmatically, but what am I supposed to do? So although all my practice was focused on breathing, but the breathing wasn't it wasn't right. Like it was wrong. The principle was right, but the way it was explained and taught, I think it was somewhere lost in translation, because right now it doesn't even make sense to me to what I used to teach to people, if that makes sense. So it has changed a lot. I'm like asking people to really calm their breathing down. And in Pilates, you inhaling through your nose and exhaling out of your mouth. And it's very like forceful to what I was taught. So that's completely changed at my studio. I'm not asking them to force their breath, but actually find the peace. And now I can really see when a new client comes in, I can really see that they're stressed out. And once they start talking to me, I can really see that they're over breathing. So I can actually pick up on that. And they come to my studio to do Pilates, so I don't want to like spend too much time on breathing, but at the same time, it's the most important thing, like more important than water. So I'm slowly kind of moving them towards breath, so they're more paying attention to it. And then I was like, try this and see how you feel. And then once they're feeling better, they want more. Then they ask him, well, like, you gave me that a little breathing technique, that a little shell, and it really helps me when I drive. Can you give me something else? So I'm definitely incorporating Buteyko breathing. It has changed a lot of things during my classes now, and it's definitely all focused around breathing, like in a little bit different way. And I love it. I really see results. I see muscles are relaxing, and I haven't been seeing like in years. I just kind of, which is kind of true. I assume that people in this just such a fight and flight mode these days that like I don't know how to calm them down. They come in and they have this over anxiety over and then just by like getting them calmed down with the peaceful breathing, then we can start exercising and actually works a little better. Yeah. So
that's fantastic.
It's
like this secret, up your sleeve that you have that's creating like probably a completely different outcome than other classes, and that's beneficial for you and for them, right?
Yes. And so at my studio, we always do privates before we join classes. So, and it used to be like, well, we can kind of see and you can go to the class right away, but now it's a must. Like I don't even let people join a class before they come to privates. And that's for that reason, because they're not even going to get results if they're going to jump in the class until they know their priorities and understand the depth of it. Is like, there's no point in my mind. Yes, they get exercise, that yes, their muscles get stronger, but the big picture is not going to change. So I really have to start from the foundation. And I have that experience, although, they look at me like, okay, you're just a little over 30. What do you know? But unfortunately and luckily, I already had that experience to where I was this athlete and felt like, I'm unstoppable. There is nothing can trigger me. And here I am, like 30 years old and having all these issues and can't even move. And like movement is my life. That was just so scary. Like I thought that I will never be able to go for a run again, because it was just making me like giving me like a panic attack, which was absolutely crazy to me. So yeah, and like now I'm not perfect to where of course I want to be, but I'm working on it, and I see the results as long as I keep my breathing practices and practicing throughout the day. I'm, definitely in a good spot.
Yeah, wisdom knows no age. That you can
Yeah.
pass down any of that to anybody. It's such a gift. Do you, when you're, let's look at the level 1 training that you did take and that you worked with Sasha and she was your teacher. What's your overall experience or critique on that?
Well, we clicked right away. I love her, and I just loved how thorough it was, and how it wasn't just about breathing. And it's actually, I'm afraid to say, but it's not even about breathing. It's your mindset, and how she was working on that with me, and how we dug deep to my childhood, and how I had to let go a lot of things just even to be able to start breathing properly. And I was resistant at first a lot, and it was challenging, very challenging for me, because I signed up for the training to learn how to breathe correctly. Like, I don't want to talk about my childhood. So it wasn't like a topic that I wanted to discuss, but I accepted it and learned to be vulnerable. And that's when I started seeing results. So it was so thorough and in depth. And as like she looked at the body as a whole, and that we are a part of this earth, and that's very important to remember. That I was just so intrigued, and I honestly couldn't wait for my next Sunday session, because I know she would find something else that I need to work on. And then I work through those things for a week with exercises, and then she finds something else. And then as an athlete, again, I love to have that number. So this is where I'm at, and this is where I want to go. I don't want to push it too hard. So just finding that balance constantly, and she was helping me with that. And just the things that I learned about my body and myself in general, and just the things that I now paying attention, that it blows my mind. So that this level 1 training, it's not a breathing training, it's like a self-improvement training, I would call, that combines some breathing techniques that are wonderful, but without that body work and mind work, I wouldn't be able to breathe the way like I breathe right now. So yeah, I'm honestly beyond like pleased and satisfied, and there's so much more to learn, and I'm definitely looking forward to connect with her again and to get to the next step. And the tempering thing it's yeah, and then me working with Bodhi on this, there's so many aspects that she touched up on, and it's like every day it's almost like my most important thing. I wake up and like, okay, where's my mind, how can I relax myself? Meditation is a must, that's my priority. If I have 30 minutes and between like a workout and a meditation, I'm going to always now pick meditation, because it's just like more important for me.
That's really beautiful. It's all connected. So, do
Yes.
you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share, especially with anything that you think would help somebody who's an athlete, or anything from a fitness perspective? Any advice that you would like to give to anybody from that perspective?
Yes, less is better. So that's a short version of what I want to say. Listening and paying attention to the body. I feel like my biggest flaw, like mistake, was not relaxing enough and not taking enough breaks. And that's what actually breathing tells me now. So I feel like as an athlete, there's so many emotions and feelings that are just bottled up inside of me that as much as everybody says that, oh, athletes are so aware of their bodies. I'm a Pilates instructor. So like I know every single muscle, so we should be so aware. But actually, I had to really learn how to be aware of my body because there's a lot of things that I just closed up and I don't even open them up. So as for other athletes, I just recommend to really sit down and think, do they really need that extra run or they need a little bit of rest? And that rest digest mode, that parasympathetic nervous system, it's so important. So don't think that getting the best results is to work more. I just want to say that I thought I knew how to breathe correctly. And there's, you hear all these cues, all these things. All right, don't forget to breathe. All right, take a deep breath and breathe, fill up your belly, things like that. So like I learned the complete opposite. And at first I was hesitant about it because you just knew differently for so many years, for so long. And as an athlete, I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I know how to breathe. I'm good. And here I am. I opened that door and I accepted it. I was like, you know what? This is a new information. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to give it all and see what happens. And it works. Like it really works and it makes sense. The more you do it, you more understand that it makes sense. And I love common sense. It does connect to everything. So this way of breathing, the Buteyko way of breathing, really unites and connects every dots, like to myself. That's like my personal experience. It's like I have a puzzle and I was completely unbalanced and my puzzles were all over the place. And this breathing, this training, this technique kind of brought everything back to the midline for me. So, and that's kind of what was my experience.